Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Fringe all-star on the year. So, I mean, I think everyone kind of expected that to come back. Live now, by the way. What's up, everybody? We're discussing Miles Michaelis, just shooting the shit, talking Miles Michaelis, regular stuff.
As one does.
Yeah, as we usually do on Mondays. So, Toast is traveling today. He'll be back tomorrow. I think he's going to LA for the Dodgers-Phillies series.
Nice.
But he'll be doing the show.
I'm coming out to New York on Thursday, and then I'll be at the Yankees game on Saturday, which I'm excited about. I haven't been to
my
Yankees
birthday.
game. It's your birthday on Saturday? Happy birthday!
Yeah, you were gonna be in New York on my birthday. That's my.
You want to go to the Yankees game with us?
Greg, my brother hosts this big cornhole tournament every year with a bunch of people. Okay,
you might want to do that. It's like I haven't been to
it's a big thing. There's like a whole big board with a bracket. It's like people take it very seriously. It's serious. So it's on my
birthday and good luck. How about that?
Thank you. So no Toast, just me and Lindy. There's not a ton of games. I have 2 bets. As far as yesterday, if you guys have been watching the show, you know that the last 2 weeks for me have been a struggle. Was struggling to see the board in the MLB recently. 5-0 sweep yesterday. It was badly needed. A very, very badly needed sweep. So here we are. Hopefully that turns into more. I do have 2 bets open. We'll get to them. So let's go ahead and get started with Mets Cardinals. And here's what I wanted to do here. So I hit on the under 9 in Mets Angels last night. I kind of wanted to go right back to the under here in this one. I mean, you have the consideration that both these teams just traveled. The Cardinals coming off Sunday Night Baseball. Yeah. Both of these teams fly in without a day off. Manaya's been good. Palante, nice numbers against righties. Mets are loaded up with righties. Mets seem to be cooling, right? Both bullpens are rested. There's just so many angles pointing towards an under here. The reason I didn't is I could poke holes in almost every single thing I just said. Manaya's been good, but a couple really rocky road starts in a row. And Palante's been good, but we've seen him get smacked around recently. And it is the grimmest Mets. We know that they are capable of going off on a righty starter at any minute. So although this is one I have down, I want to see what Lindy thinks about this under. Could possibly add it, but as of right now, this is under or pass for me.
Yeah, it's going to be St. Louis for me. I got this at even money. It's in -105 now. I'm just fine with that as well. I mean, everything you brought up is pretty accurate. You wanted to take an under here on 9. I don't hate that. Yesterday, the thing that was my redeeming quality of the entire day was talking through a coworker on the under for the evening. St. Louis, Chicago miraculously found our way to get a W in that one. It was 3-2, bases loaded, Miles Michaelis imploding. You get the back-to-back jacks even in the 6th inning after that to go 6-2, and then it cleans up 7-8-9, no runs, which was very, very useful. But I do think St. Louis getting on a flight to St. Louis is a little bit different than, Mets going back across to the middle of the country. If you want to talk about the traveling differential, I mean, it's a divisional matchup, pretty much familiar with going into Chicago and getting yourself out of there for the nice 10-minute flight down there to St. Louis. But I look at Palante. I think this is like an undervalued. He's such a sneaky guy because fantasy purposes, DFS, breaking things down over on the Stochastic YouTube channel. I don't think that necessarily he's ever going to be somebody that we talk about from a DFS perspective as like a strikeout arm, as somebody who's going to be reliable in that regard. But I mean, you see his numbers against lefties as well. I mean, I know that it's going to be chock full of righties here, but straight into the ground balls. Lefties can't hit the ball in the air. It's like a -8 or 9 degree launch angle going up on batted balls in play here. You go through this Mets lineup today. I mean, you've got Nimmo in it. You got McNeil in it. So those are 2 guys that are going to have a real tough time with Palante and that ground ball percentage. But anything north of 60% number, we're talking about a dude who's kind of he doesn't have the strikeout stuff of some of these other big swinging lefties, but he is definitely effective. And I think being effective is worth it when you're talking about an even money proposition on the home team that with the addition of, Tommy Pham now batting second here today. I like the St. Louis construction of this lineup. You have Tyrone Taylor batting second for the Mets. Good Lord Almighty, what is going on? I think overall, this is kind of an interesting spot to just be loaded up on the St. Louis side of things.
Yeah, I don't dislike that at all. In fact, I actually considered a Mets team total under also instead of
I like
the
that
under.
too.
I really could see Palante pitching a good game, and that's kind of what's holding me off. Is I just recently, I forget which start it was. It might have been his last start, Palante, where I was like, guys, he's got nice numbers against righty bats. We could do this, and then he didn't perform. So I'm just a little hesitant, but I don't disagree with that bet at all. It'd be under.
Yeah, I mean, for a righty pitcher, I mean, Palante, it's so weird because, again, lefties are not hitting the ball in the air against him whatsoever. It's insane. It's actually legitimately insane to me.
All right, so I'll lean towards the under, and Lindy likes the Cardinals. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And the next game is Reds-Marlins. Am I crazy for thinking Roddery Munoz might pitch well here?
I did the same thing yesterday, and I didn't pull the trigger. Cabrera was an absolute wagon yesterday. 5 clean innings, 8 Ks. I'm really mad that I didn't pull the trigger on it because Atlanta's been terrible against righties. They have like right around a 25% K rate against them. And I still, I was a coward. So not that Chad is going to disagree with that at times, but I'm very much looking at Miami as kind of the interesting one. I went back and forth breaking this one down. I ended up leaning on the run line Cincy. I don't have a play from this one, but tell the people, because I do think Roddery Munoz is very live to have another nice start. And Miami, they were able to kind of have a clean pen, like it's not a fully rested pen here, but didn't have to use a lot of the big guns. And not that they have any guns to work with. It's basically, like a United Nations meeting with the amount of guns that they have in Miami, which is none. But I'm very much here for anything you have to say to talk me into Miami money line.
Yeah, I actually have a couple angles I like here. I really considered you could put Marlins money line up for me. Didn't bet it, but there's a couple angles I like for the Marlins here. First of all, we're kind of seeing a pattern starting to form with Cincinnati. Remember, they rewind about, I want to say about a month ago, the Reds started scoring runs at home out of nowhere. They're 7, 8, 9, 8. They started scoring runs at home. Then they went on the road and the bats just disappeared. And then they came back. They did like an 8-9 game road trip or whatever it was. Came back home, started hitting again. Now they just finished a homestand. They go back on the road. In the last 30 days, the Reds are one of the worst road lineups in baseball. In fact, 29th in WRC plus, 29th in OPS. So we're back on the road, and then 30 days is a small sample size for home away, but still, last 30 days, one of the worst road lineups in baseball. Not to mention a bottom 10 road lineup in baseball on the season. So there's an angle I like that the Reds bats back on the road might go cold. Also, Roddery Munoz, check this out. So Roddery Munoz against bottom 10 lineups, because the Reds are definitely a bottom 10 road lineup. This is a little thin. But Roddery Munoz this year pitching against bottom 10 lineups, 2.45 ERA and an 0.91 WHIP. Now it's only 11 innings pitch sample size, but when he's gotten the opportunity to pitch against bad lineups, he's actually been good. And if we think the Reds road lineup is bottom 10, that would fit the mold. Also, what does Roddery Munoz really struggle with? Making outs against lefty bats. The Reds aren't particularly loaded with lefties. I mean, I think they are going to have 4, but it's not like a lefty-heavy lineup or anything. I honestly don't think it's crazy that Roddery Munoz pitches a good game here. The reason I didn't... Oh, and by the way, it's a bullpen day for the Reds, and their bullpen isn't even that rested. I mean, they got a few of their main pieces that have pitched 2 of the last 3 days. They should be available, but by no means is the Reds bullpen rested. Remember, this is a bullpen that doesn't have Sims anymore. He's gone. They traded him at the deadline. So I honestly think there's a lot of paths to a Marlins win. The reason I didn't bet it, I don't love how the Marlins are coming home from a road trip. And also, it's the Marlins. They're absolutely trash. So I think there are a lot of solid angles that point towards a Marlins moneyline bet here. Not actually going to do it. Really considered it last night, though.
Yeah, Bender, both going to be available. Fangraph is as ridiculous over the course of the last 14 days. And there's an opportunity in my rotational pictures team for the last 3. And that's a little bit. I'm looking for
Lindy, can you hear me? Your voice just started breaking up. I'm seeing if it. I don't know if it's just us. No one's saying it in the no one's saying it in the comments. So I guess it's just me. So go ahead and continue. Oh, never mind. Yeah, they're starting to say it. So just leave and come back in. Yeah. I was looking at you like, are you hearing that also? Out of nowhere, his voice just started tailing off there. Yeah. It's Prop Beaver's fault. No matter what happens on the show, it somehow becomes your fault. Or, you know what? Andy gets it a lot too. The power could go out and they'd be like, fucking Prop Beaver. How do you not have a hold on the power? Oh, man, I really want to hear what Lindy thinks about this game too. Okay, so all right, we'll start talking Arizona, Cleveland. All right, so this is an interesting one. So I know, now hear me out. I know you're going to look at this game, right, and you're going to see Zach Gallen against Logan Allen. I get it. It's not ideal. It's definitely not what you want to see, but I really don't know how we could lay minus 125 juice on the road here with Arizona. If you take out the pitching matchup, all right, so remember how I've been talking about how Cleveland's been ice cold against righty starters? I've been talking about it for like a month. They've now gotten to 2 righty starters in a row. The last one was Corbin Burns. They ended up smacking Corbin Burns around a little bit. I think it was in the 4th inning or the 5th inning they got to him. That's 2 righty starters they've gotten to in a row. Keep in mind, if you rewind a month and a half ago before this slump, this was one of the best, most consistent lineups against righty starters in baseball for pretty much the whole season. So it's not crazy to think that all of a sudden Cleveland is back against righty starters and getting to 2 in a row, one of them being Corbin Burns. That I'm down to start putting faith in the Cleveland lineup against righties again. That's number one. Number two, it's Cleveland at home. They're the best home team in baseball, and I don't think it's close. I think they're significantly the best home team in baseball. Also, how can we have any faith at all in the Arizona bullpen right now? Hold on. Not only has it been terrible, the Arizona bullpen, but they're not even rested at all. Ready for this? Justin Martinez, who is now their main arm because Sewald got pulled out of the closer role. Justin Martinez, 2 of the last 3 days, 18 pitches yesterday. Ryan Thompson, 2 of the last 3 days, 19 pitches yesterday. AJ Puck, 2 of the last 3 days. Kevin Ginkel will be available, but Paul Sewald, 2 days in a row. Dylan Floro, 2 of the last 3 days. So not only, yes, I will give you that Zach Gallen is a significantly better pitcher than Logan Allen. I'm not even debating that, but if Cleveland's back against righty starters and you take into consideration that the bullpen battle here in this one is not even close. I mean, the second half of this game, we're talking about one of the best bullpens in baseball rested against a terrible bullpen in Arizona unrested. Proppy. I didn't even know he was doing that. Shit. All right. So it would only be Cleveland here, and I actually think it's a decent spot for it. It's not one of the 2 bets I placed. Like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I did bet. I have Cleveland team total over 3.5, and my bad. So it's basically Cleveland bats are back against the righty starters, and the Arizona bullpen is so terrible that even if it's kind of copy and paste what I said about my Boston team total over yesterday, even if Zach Gallen comes out and throws a good game, Cleveland could go into the 8th inning with 0 runs, and I could still be live as hell with this bet. So I'm on Cleveland team total over. To be honest, I don't hate Cleveland money line at plus 105 either, but I went Cleveland team total over. Bet this last night.
I will be staying away from this baseball game, and whatever I just saw on the screen when I logged back in, that must have been fun. What was that? A little SpongeBob action? A little SpongeBob for the people? Oh, my lordy. Am I there? Hello? Oh, no. Now do we just... Okay, so now he's coming back in? Gotcha. Okay. Oh, hello. These Mondays, man, I don't know what it is with my internet company on Mondays, but they don't like me jumping on at this time for whatever reason. That's great to know.
Well, you didn't miss anything because we just moved to the next game, and I actually had a lot to say about this game.
Okay.
So basically, what I alluded to was Cleveland has been ice cold against righty starters. They've now gotten to 2 in a row, and one of them's Corbin Burns, which leads me to start putting faith in this lineup again. But even if you don't think Cleveland is going to touch Zach Gallen, team total over 3.5 should still be live because the Arizona bullpen is a disaster. So I went Cleveland team total over 3.5 in this one.
Yeah, Paul Sewald is the bane of my existence this season. There's no doubt about it. I'm not an Arizona Diamondbacks fan, but I'm a fan of money, and he's cost me a lot of it. So I definitely don't like him. I definitely don't like Logan Allen, though, either. This guy is a little bit of a train wreck this year. Probably one of the major regression candidates. I feel like there's been a number of these starting pitchers, whether it's Jordan Montgomery on the Arizona side. In this case, he's basically the Jordan Montgomery of these Cleveland Guardians. 46% hard hit, 11% barrel percentage, not getting any swing and misses, sub 20% strikeout rate, 5.54 expected ERA. I think what we saw at the beginning of last year is that he was okay. Like, he's an okay, serviceable starter at times, but then teams started to figure him out. It's a 4-seamer changeup combo, and that changeup, man, it is just getting lit up by righties right now. I mean, like a 254 batting average against, 479 slugging, and then the 4-seamer's primary pitch is a problem. So I worked through everything on Logan Allen. I can't touch this game, though. The numbers are pretty efficient. I'm going to be staying away, but I understand Cleveland team total.
Yeah, cool. All right, next game. And by the way, guys, I did bet that. That's actually, I have 2 bets open. That's one of them. So, all right, next up. San Francisco, Washington. You ready to talk Corbin? So let me guess.
Popcorn ready.
Washington first 5 reverse run line laying the half a run.
San Francisco on the run line. Get off my lawn, kids. I mean, what are we doing, Kyle?
You haven't learned your lesson not to fade Corby?
Not to fade Corby. What? Didn't Corby just die? What happened to Corby?
He had a rough start. It was on the
road,
rough
start. He had 13 hits allowed. He had 11 runs scored against him, 10 earned. What are we talking about here?
It was a rough patch. Can we peek at his last few home starts?
Oh my Lord.
Not bad. No, I'm not betting Washington.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't know what we were getting at.
I do think that it's possible that he throws a good game, though. It's actually not Corbin what held me off of Washington. It's the Giants lineup seems to be heating back up against lefties. That's what it is. Because Corbin in his last 3 home starts has been somewhat respectable. I know the last start was hilarious. I even tweeted. We both tweeted about it. That's how it was, like just a hilarious moment of this baseball season. But the Giants seem to be getting their shit together against lefties. You were rewind about 6-7 weeks ago. This lineup was hitting lefty starters. Then they kind of dropped off for a little bit, but they've gotten to like 4 of the last 5 lefty starters they've seen. I believe it's 4 of the last 5. So I can't put any faith in Patrick Corbin. But also Logan Webb hasn't been the same on the road. He's coming off that. Well, I think that complete game was 2 starts ago for Logan Webb. But I don't know what to think of the Nationals lineup. Because on paper, I feel like they should be awful, but they keep scoring runs. I mean, they cooked me on a Brewers bet a couple days back. So this is a straight pass for me. If I had to place a bet, it would be over.
I am going to be just cheering against Patrick Corbin like I always am. I mean, this is just regression towards the mean. He was due for some major bad luck coming up. And that's funny to say because you work through his numbers and he's already bad, 16.8% K rate, but a 5.84 expected ERA is actually better than his 5.88 ERA at this point in time coming off of that absolute shelling. So I don't think that I got it all at once. I'm definitely looking at San Francisco as the optimal side here. Am I all that inspired by anything that's happening with this baseball team not named Tyler Fitzgerald? No, I'm not, but it is still a fantastic spot here, I think, to just be attacking Patrick Corbin until he's out of the league. I will continue to do it.
All right, Giants minus 1.5. This is not one of my bets, by the way. I would lean over there.
So I can't. Well, that's not fun. I need you to bet your board. Patrick Corbin
I don't have faith in Patrick.
Right.
I'm something of a Patrick Corbin whisperer. As in, I like Corbin. I bet him maybe like once out of every 5 starts, and I swear I have a solid hit rate with it. I
believe you. Trust me. Looking at my ROI betting against him isn't as pretty, but there's just no way that what I know about baseball isn't going to lead me to betting against him at these kind of numbers. I mean, this is just nonsensical because Patrick Corbin is one of the worst pitchers in baseball, and I don't think you can really argue against it at this point.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's more at times I could fade the perception of him where when he pitches against another bad starter, he'll still be like a plus 140 dog. And it's like, well, he's bad, but like, so is that. You know what I mean? Like you could find
exactly. Yeah, price and probability. I totally get it.
So the next game I actually didn't look at. I don't know anything about Festa, and also I knew you were coming on the show, so I was like, Lindy will talk about his twin. So I have nothing to say. If you want to talk me into a bet, I'm all ears.
A number of different bets that I have in this one. I have a number of plays that have shown up here. Kyle Hendricks, plus 174, over 6.5 hits allowed. A little bit of an alter number depending on where you're looking at, but Kyle Hendricks, no good, very bad. David Festa, also very good, no bad, but not really going to be attackable at these kind of numbers. It is blowing in here at Wrigley, but it's not crazy windy. You're looking at like 8 to 10 miles per hour, nothing crazy, nothing abnormal. For me, it's Matt Wallner day. He's batting cleanup here. Byron Buxton runs into the wall yesterday. Over 0.5 total bases, over 1.5 total bases. I think the pinch hit risk, removing Buxton, it's basically between Larnach and Wallner. It's kind of like wherever it lands with Margot. There's only one lefty, though, that exists in the pen here for Chicago. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but with only one lefty out there, there's a chance that Larnach and Wallner stay in this game throughout. And you're talking about one hit against Kyle Hendricks, who obviously doesn't strike out anybody, lefties or righties, but specifically is running into power issues here going up against lefties. 214 expected ISO, 238 actual ISO with just a 15% K rate. I love Matt Wallner, but the home run got bet from like plus 500 to plus 420 very, very quickly when he was announced as cleanup. I was paying attention to that one. He gets moved up from around 7th in the lineup where he's been here routinely up to the cleanup spot. The total base is still a play for me. The 1.5 total bases, if you want to go altered and get yourself some nice plus money, still available for you over on FanDuel.
All right. So he also gave out, so Poppy put Hendricks 7+ hits, and he also said Wallner over a half hit, right?
Yeah. And to break down David Festa, he's kind of an interesting dude because I don't know what to make of some of these struggles he's had because, you know, he's a pretty well-rounded prospect for us. The changeup's been okay, but like, man, 4-seamer slider have just been getting hit up. 317 expected batting average against the slider. If that's going to be your primary pitch to get swing and miss, I don't think we're going to see a ton of a strikeout rate coming up from, like, he's at 24.7% right now with a 5.58 expected ERA, but like, this pitch mix, man, if he's not getting swing and miss, which you can get against the Cubbies, he's going to be running into a laundry list of problems at the big league level. I just feel like the numbers are a little bit high across the board where I can't really attack it where I want to on the Cubs side.
Cool. All right. I got nothing to say. No lean at all in this one.
Matt Wallner.
Astros, Rangers, man. With Hunter Brown pitching, there's so many angles to this game. I feel like I could sit here and give like a compelling 60-second speech selling each side. Feels very coin flippy. Obviously, division rivalry. Hunter Brown is somebody I trust. And then if you look at the, like, on paper, recent production, say last 30 days, the Rangers lineup shouldn't be a problem. But I can't help but think, and maybe this is unfounded, correct me if I'm wrong in thinking that the Rangers lineup is going to be good down the stretch of this regular season. Would you say that? I don't know if there's any numbers to support that. I don't know if it's just a feeling. Now they got Young back.
It can't get worse. And Josh Young back is definitely, I mean, that guy was a difference maker last year for them, especially down the stretch. Guy can hit, but I don't know, man. It is just like, I feel like I've been saying that for 4 months. We're Texas. I'm going to see them recover. We're going to see them recover against righties. And it just continues to not happen. 89 WRC plus on the season, 20% strikeout rate. So they don't really strike out a ton here, but Hunter Brown's been nails over any sample size inside of the last 2 months. Whether you want to go 14 days, 30 days, 60 days, Hunter Brown is nails. And this is just kind of a weird line to me. I see a lot of people in the comments section that were throwing in, are you still here? Reverse line movement against it. I get why the money's coming in there. Like, I totally get it. I just strongly disagree. When you start grading a game right around 59% expected win percentage, and you're getting minus 105 now on it, 52% expected win percentage, basically, that's a huge disparity. It's one of my larger money line plays that I've had in a long time. It falls into the quote unquote lock category. I hate the word lock. I hope people understand that I use it as a euphemism of sorts, because nothing is a lock, but it works well in like for Twitter searches, whatever. I don't give a shit. Just know that it's a really good play. It's a really great opportunity to make some money on an undervalued baseball team today.
So you're going with the Houston Astros.
And I have the under of 2.5 earned runs for Hunter Brown, which I think is actually, at this point, more appealing. It depends on where you're looking at, where you're playing it at, but I love under 2.5 earned runs for Hunter Brown. Just give me a little bit of that first 5 type of number. I feel really good about this one too.
I was leaning the other way, but I see you through the sentence. I feel really good about this one, which is not how I would describe mine at all. I didn't even bet this. I want it to be on the Rangers tonight.
Don't do that to me. I don't need that. Because here's the thing. I don't think you understand the amount of pain that is going to be coming my way on X, on YouTube, on anything if Houston just continues to be befuddled at the plate like they were yesterday. I can't live with myself. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, the last 30 days, the Houston Astros lineup 29th in WRC plus, 28th in LPS. Bottom 10 against lefties, bottom 10 on the road. Yo.
I'm like the Wolverine gif, or like the Wolverine gif with Kyle Tucker just holding the picture frame. I miss him so much.
It would be Rangers or pass here. Damn, he said, I like this one a lot, though.
Do.
And I trust Lindy's judgment here. It'll be Rangers or pass for me. I'm not. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump on to the next game. What's my next bet? I have another one. Oh, it's the last game. Okay, that's right. My other bet is on the last game. Interesting one here. To me, okay, so it's Boston at Kansas City. James Paxton's obviously on the mound. Brady Singer, who usually can be relied on at home. The problem is Brady Singer throws with his right hand. And if someone throws with their right hand and they're pitching against the Boston Red Sox, they're going to get hit up. It's almost a certainty at this point. They've gotten to it. The numbers are getting so out of control. They've gotten to like 18 of the last 19 righty starters they've seen. It's like they are a nightmare. This is the best lineup in baseball against right-handed pitching right now. They're first in all major metrics in the last 30 days against right-handed pitching. So even though Brady Singer has shown us for multiple seasons that you can put your trust in him at home in Kansas City, not against Boston. That being said, James Paxton on the road in Kansas City. I mean, to me, this game, if you're going to place a bet on it, comes down to one question. Are you willing to place an over up at 10? It's all the way up at 10 with good reason. I still think it goes over 10, but all the way up at 10 is going to cause me to stay away. But it'll be over 10 or pass for me.
Yeah, I had a long debate with myself because I had enough on this card for a 9-gamer, and I knew I was going to have prop exposure. The Matt Wallner thing showed up pretty prominently, where I'm, multiple times a half base, 1.5 total bases, home run. Like, there's a number of ways that I could have attacked that one where I, stayed away from the home run. I knew I was going to find the prop exposure, but I'm totally with you where the over of 10 or pass would be the play. It was at 9.5. I feel like I kind of missed the boat on that half run yesterday, which is a little bit of a bummer, but everything you said about Boston, I love the 30-day sample size, just being able to really highlight how good Boston has been here. 149 WRC plus against right-handed pitching. They have speed, they have power, and now, I mean, they just find ways to make things miserable. Brady Singer is not a very good starter by any means. 329 xWOB, but 431 expected slugging. It is tough sledding for pretty much.
You don't like
starter.
Singer at home though? Singer at home, you can make money on Singer at home. I mean, I'm maybe more so last year than this year, but still, it's Singer. If he's at home in Kansas City, I could try. If it wasn't Boston, I'd be down to back Kansas City against Paxton 100%. I would lay minus 165 here, but it's Boston is the only reason.
I mean, Brady Singer's been really good this year, so I don't want to besmirch how good of a season he's had. He's sub 3 ERA, 1.16 whip. I mean, Brady Singer's been very, very good. But yeah, home stuff has been exponentially better. It's just that the books don't seem to care. I mean, this number got hung up at 9.5 and it moved up. I don't know what to make of it. It's just such a dicey spot for me where I could see it playing out multiple ways. And, it's like a range of outcomes thing where, yeah, you're going to see times with the wind blowing out and it's 96 or whatever at first pitch here in Kansas City, where any starter with a right hand is going to get blown up here by the Boston Red Sox. And I think for me, that just ends up being a stay away. James Paxton, I think the main reason this is moving up is, Bobby Witt, Sal Perez, they just went from playing a cavernous Detroit ballpark, and now they're going back home. It is going to be all systems go here in Kauffman today. So I'm going to probably stay away. I'm going to cheer for runs, though. If anybody does want to take a play, I'm with you. That over is the only thing that makes sense.
All right. Next game, and I believe we're on the last game already. Oh, no. We got a real heater here. White Sox, Oakland, possible playoff matchup, ALDS possibly. It's obviously a joke. Jonathan Cannon pitching against JP Sears. I mean, no chance of placing a bet on this. I guess it would probably be Chicago or pass, considering Oakland's bats seem to be coming down to earth. And if Oakland's bat, if that Oakland hot streak is over that they were on, that Oakland offensive little spurt they were on, if that's over, then a minus 180 price is freaking insane here. If the Oakland bats are cooled and back to being a bottom 10 lineup like they were earlier in the season, so it would only be White Sox at this number. Also, look, the White Sox lineup is terrible, and there's almost nothing positive you could say. But if there is a chance that I think I can rely on the White Sox to score some runs, it would be against a lefty. They are loaded up with righty bats. So at this price, it would only be White Sox. But, I mean, I'm not placing my hard-earned money on the Chicago White Sox Oakland Athletics game in August. So I'm good.
I mean, this price is wild. I get it. I had a feeling that the public was going to run this one up to minus 200, and sure enough, it exceeded it. It's incredible to watch, but it's not just that Chicago traded away Eloy Jimenez, Tommy Pham. It's not just that Michael Kopech isn't there in the pen. It's that they had no talent really to begin with. I mean, you got Luis Robert. He's really it. I mean, if you had to start a baseball team with I'm trying to decide, Luis Robert, who's the next player that you pick that isn't Garrett Crochet or Luis Robert on this baseball team that you would want on your team? Who is it?
Andrew Vaughn?
I think it's probably Andrew Vaughn, but then you're
also
right. I mean, I debated. I think Miguel Vargas is probably the answer now. I mean, the Dodgers didn't need him knowing Mookie Betts was going to get back next week. They have Freddie Freeman. They have a ridiculous lineup. Kopech is an arm that I think that if you have the right staff, the right people in place to really get that talent back, I think Michael Kopech can be that dude for 7th, 8th innings in playoff games. So I totally understand that move and why the Dodgers went that direction as opposed to Vargas and such. But yeah, this is going to just be an all-around pass of a baseball game. I mean, this price is absolutely ludicrous. It's an 8.5 total, yet you're looking at run line numbers that don't even make sense. Obviously, this is a baseball team that's lost 20 games in a row. 20 games in a row is not for the faint of heart if you're going to be looking at a plus 154 number and still feeling like garbage against the Oakland Athletics here in this spot. But that's the way I feel about it. And yeah, I looked at the Brent Rooker numbers. They're asinine. I woke up to absolute insanity there. So I don't have a single play from this game. Probably just going to be a pass all the way around. I don't know what else to say.
Agreed. And apparently there's a kid named Kai Bush making his MLB debut instead of Cannon now for the White Sox. Don't
Best
care.
of luck to you, man.
Don't care at all. Let's just move on to the last game, which is the game of the night. Nola. So me and Aaron Nola go way back. We have history. There's one thing I always say about Aaron Nola. I don't like trusting him in those minus 170 games against Pittsburgh or those minus 190 games against the Marlins. But when he's a dog, he's a dog. Mm-hmm. When Aaron Nola is not the favorite, the man makes a statement that he lets everyone know that he should have been the favorite. So let's Philly up. Let's Philly up here. This is my favorite bet of the night, and partially because there's not many games on, and I don't really like. But this is my favorite bet of the night. I'm on the Phillies here. In my opinion, Glasnow's recent starts give us no reason to trust them. I know the Phillies bats have been sputtering, but it's not like they've been cold for a month and a half. Well, actually, kind of. They've been cold for like 2 or 3 weeks. It's not like the Dodgers have been setting the world on fire offensively either. I think the pitching advantage goes to Nola here. In which case, how are we getting plus 111? Phillies. I am on the Phillies. Favorite bet of the night. I'm saying this regrettably, but let's do it, Philly. I hate this city.
I mean, Tyler Glasnow is going to mow down a lot of Philadelphia dudes tonight. It's just a question of, can they find a couple on the way for you? I have no problem with that. I think the under is probably the most appealing thing to me here. Still at the current numbers, it's been bet down from 8 to 7.5. God, it's really, really tough now. 8 was a lot more fun yesterday, last night when we got in on that. But even at 7.5, I'm going to lean towards that under for the people. And I think it's still, regrettably, I mean, this is kind of the disgusting feeling I'm getting in my stomach. At minus 105, I still think it's playable. I'm just not completely in love with it losing that hook. But regardless, let's break this down too. Freddie Freeman coming back. Freddie Freeman expected in the lineup here tonight. Going to be a crazy crowd supporting him, coming off of everything with his son. That's going to be fun to watch, a feel-good story, if you will. That will improve the lineup. But Mookie Betts isn't back yet either. He'll be back next week, it sounds like, on Monday or Tuesday for that Milwaukee series that they're going to be playing. And as such, I mean, that's just, the top of the lineup is still watered down to a certain extent. You're still having Paez and Ahmed there at the bottom of the lineup. They just haven't, Paez hasn't been as good here over the last 30 days, 60 days. He's played himself into this stint, and obviously there's lefties that they have in Oklahoma City that they can bring up at some point in time. But I keep breaking this one down in multiple directions, trying to find something that is currently available for you. I think it's just under 7.5 or pass for me. I don't hate the Philly side of things because I feel like everything you said about Aaron Nola, I've been saying about Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen for 3 years. I back them as major dogs. They are by far the reason that I am in the position I am in, because I would just bet them every single day at plus 165, plus 185 against the Dodgers. Plus 111 is a little thin with Nola, but it's a much better Philadelphia lineup. If they can get anything from Bryce Harper, who, by the way, had the worst July I've ever broken down, they're going to be in a fine spot.
Yeah. And just to give you, because some people are saying the Phillies in the last 14 days, they're 25th in WRC plus. Someone said that in the last 14 days, the Dodgers are 17th at WRC plus. So like the gap offensively between these two, if you the person in the comments that brought that up, Jerry Davis, it's 17th and 22nd. So the Dodgers are right there next to them. The Dodgers haven't really, the slump for the Dodgers is not nearly as bad as the Phillies, but Dodgers haven't really been hitting either. Like Lindy talked about, this is not a healthy lineup. Freddie Freeman coming back and definitely the feel-good aspect of that for sure. But Nola, when Nola's a dog, man. And I'm riding Nola as a dog.
Yeah, Philly, I've got them at 100 WRC plus and LA Dodgers at 107 WRC plus over the last 30 days. I mean, they're both fine, nothing spectacular. They're not the normal Phillies, but it is no doubt going to be a better lineup for Freddie Freeman and for the Dodgers. And there's no doubt anything is better than what you had in July from Bryce Harper.
All right. So let's do a quick community, I guess, top bet. We'll do a community top bet real quick.
Community parlay. I heard
hit
the song now.
Community parlay. The parlay we bet. Yeah, community parlay is for the community. We community. Making a parlay. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's Andy. That's
Andy.
Yeah, Andy's waiting for college football. Prop Beaver.
Hey, that's what's going on. Okay. Still haven't seen Prop Beaver, but I've now heard his voice now.
Yeah. It's very serenading, that voice. So what we'll do is, you know what? There's enough games to do a community parlay. Let's do it. So I'm assuming they liked Grimace in the first one.
Of course they do.
Yep. America's team, Grimace. So Mets money line, Reds money line.
Mets fan, right? Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Diamondbacks money line with Gallen. And Giants money line. Definitely Giants money line. We're going to take first and second place from that.
I mean, is this just find the chalkiest shit possible and throw Oakland in there? You got to throw Oakland in the community parlay then.
Hey, it's not our parlay; it's the community's. We'll see.
All right, community.
Yeah,
Welcome to the table, Oakland.
The community works in mysterious ways.
It does. Oh. All right, plus 116. I'm going to join Philly with you for a little bit.
Do it. I'm telling you, my favorite bet in the night. But I mean, because I don't like mini bets.
It's a thin board outside of, again, I'm Bikram yoga stretch to find some props. My God.
Yeah. So Mets money line, Giants money line are the first two winners. Second poll, we have go Twins money line. Astros Rangers. Who did they like? Oh, they like the Astros. Yeah, the poll like the Astros heavy. So Twins money line, Astros money line. Did they like the Royals or Red Sox? I don't remember who they liked in that poll. You know what? Just skip that one. Twins money line, Astros money line, Oakland Athletics money line, and they voted for the Phillies. Community's on the Phils. Yeah, it's definitely the Phillies. I would imagine probably a little bit of a public dog. But I mean, it's the Dodgers at home with glass now. So trust me, they're taking action. It's not like no one's betting the Dodgers at home with glass now.
Yeah, your community, everybody.
Yeah,
follow when I post this. When I post my ticket, we'll be the lone soldiers there that the books are like, thank God somebody's on the Phillies for us.
Yeah, they're definitely taking Dodger action
because Dodger run line is just going to get the next month will come back to what it was at the beginning of the year, where Dodgers -1.5 is just steamed to no man's land.
So while they're voting, you want to tell them where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, oddshopper.com. We got some really fun stuff coming down the pipeline. Just went live today, but Wednesday will be the official rollout introduction on some stuff that we're doing in terms of picks, in terms of our tools. But oddshopper.com, positive EV, talking expected value through the marketplace with some of the tools. And then obviously the picks that we'll have from guys like myself, Greg Ehrenberg, who's been on this show as well. Ben Raza, one of the biggest names in the industry over on Pat Mayo's show a lot. A great opportunity to come hang out with a great community there as well. And as always, Kyle, great to kick it with you. And we didn't have Toast telling me to bet every single dog on the day. So I feel very, very encouraged that
you want to hear something crazy. Toast,
go ahead.
He said this in Discord. He goes, I'm not telling anybody. He has Nats first 5 money line ticket open right now.
Fuck that guy. Let's get out of here.
Dead ass, he's got it. He bet Nats first 5. He didn't post it on the site or anything. He's just letting you guys know. I'm not telling anybody, but I have Nats first 5. It's insane. All right, let's get into the NFL. Oh, that means did I invite Steve? I gotta invite Steve.
Thanks,
later,
everybody.
Lindy, talk to you soon, man.
Later, my guy.
Community parlay is Mets, Giants, A's, Astros at plus 765, by the way. It's all right. You don't have to get it's fine. Just move on to you don't have to get there it is. Mets, Giants, A's, Astros. All right. Did I forget to send Prop Beaver? You gonna put your camera up or are you just gonna do voice? All right, cool. Oh no, I did send Steve the link. All right, so Steve's not in yet. So what Prop Beaver is going to take the lead on there's Steve. Not much, man. So Prop Beaver and Steve are going to do this one because I am not that prepared. And also Prop Beaver has kind of some sharp takes on the Ravens. Prop Beaver thinks the Ravens could win as few as 9 games this year, which obviously is a very sharp, a very hot take. He's looked a lot deeper into the Ravens than I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my mic off and let these guys take the lead on it. But I'll be sitting right here. I'm going to have my mic off because me and Prop Beaver are in the same room. And if we talk, it echoes. So I'm going to turn my mic off and let these guys do it. Prop Beaver, go ahead and unmute your stuff.
Hello all, how we doing today? I just want to make sure my mic is coming in at a good level. Jabbo, can you speak real quick?
Yes, what's going on?
There we go. All right, how we doing everybody? Good?
do this.
All
Let's talk
right.
some football.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we're gonna go through the Ravens real quick. In terms of changes on the offensive side of the ball, let's go ahead and look at the additions and subtractions from last season. Where is that real quick? The main thing that I want to talk about, Jabbo, and I think that we have to talk about, is the offensive line. I mean, this is an offensive line that lost 3,000 plus snaps from last season. They lost John Simpson, they lost Kevin Zeitler, I believe, and they also lost Morgan Moses, who, I mean, we talked about him in the Jets preview show. He's been fantastic over the last 2 seasons, so this is a Ravens offensive line who, I got to be completely honest with you, I haven't been exactly enthralled with the last few seasons, and now they're losing 3 pivotal pieces to it. What do you think about that?
I mean, this is one of the biggest things I want to talk about today, actually. I think the Ravens are going to have a much worse season, and a big reason of that is because of this O-line. I mean, you saw it after Lamar's first MVP season. If you remember, after that season, he struggled. They lost a ton of offensive linemen. He got hurt. He struggled. Lamar Jackson does need somewhat of an offensive line, because if he's not going to stay healthy, I mean, then this season's a bust. But, I mean, that's just too many starting O-linemen. You're counting on too many young guys that have to step up. And maybe we're wrong. Maybe these young guys do step up, but that's just too many to count on, to be honest with you. And then, on top of that, with this O-line, you have Derrick Henry. He's 30 years old now. Are you going to get a running game from him? Is he going to stay healthy? You know that 30-year-old mark with running backs. I know Derrick Henry's is just a friggin' beast, but I really actually worry about this team. I think everyone else is just looking. Lamar, look how good they did last year. They're going to dominate. I think they're going to struggle mightily, to be honest with you, compared to last year. I mean.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like everybody's just expecting this team to just pick up right where they left off last year. I mean, they made it to the AFC Championship game. The offense was flowing. Todd Monken, his first year as OC, has Lamar Jackson in MVP form. I mean, this team has to only go further than that, right? I mean, Lamar Jackson has to get better. Listen, OBJ didn't put up the gaudiest stats last year, but he did make an impact in the offense as well, and now he's gone. Zay Flowers, I do like the kid. I think that he has real talent, but do you think that he's ready to be a real number 1 wide receiver in an offense? I don't exactly know about that. I don't know if he's ready to see those number 1 corners yet. And another thing that I really wanted to talk about as well is we were talking about the offensive line. They lost 3 offensive linemen, and Ronnie Stanley, he's a guy that has been so banged up the last 3 seasons. Look at last season. Ronnie Stanley had a career worst 4.1% blown block rate and a gross 6.9% pressure rate. He's played just 31 games since 2019. So if that offense now not only has no OBJ, so they're not taking away pressure from Zay Flowers, they're going to have worse blocking. They have Derrick Henry, who's an aging veteran. I just don't know what the hype is exactly. Is there a way that this offense takes a next step?
There's no way. There's literally no way. They have to take a step back, first of all. And like you said, I mean, Mark Andrews is obviously his main target, but to count on Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, and pretty much nobody, you have a thin O-line. You have 2 guys that you can really trust in the passing game. Like we said, a 30-year-old running back who, by the way, was splitting time with Tajay Spears last year in Tennessee. So it's not like we're talking about the Derrick Henry of old. And Tajay Spears, if you watch some of their games, he looked more explosive.
I love Tajay Spears.
Yeah, no, I do too. But I just don't see where this is gonna. I don't see where they're gonna consistently score, especially against teams with great D lines, great front sevens. I think Lamar's gonna have a tough year, staying healthy. I hope he does. You never wish injury, obviously, but I think it's gonna be a rough year for him. He's not the kind of guy who can just sit there in the pocket and deliver passes under pressure or things like that. So I'm with you. I think the offense is going to struggle.
Yeah. Kyle, do you want to say something? It sounds like you want to say something. All right, so let me mute my thing real quick for a second so you can butt it.
You have to mute yourself. Oh, you did. Okay. So, all right. They both just made really good points. It's not that I'm pro Ravens or anything, so it's not that I disagree with their points, but I think that you do have to at least mention that Lamar Jackson developed last year a lot as a passer. Maybe not getting the ball downfield much, but as far as the decision making and I feel like Lamar Jackson silenced a lot of haters as far as a passer, his accuracy, and I do understand your point though. Without the offensive line, if the threat of the rushing attack isn't there, does his job as a passer become that much harder? I mean, it's a really good point. I don't disagree with anything you guys said. I was more not in disagreement. I was more listening to what you guys were saying, like kind of like opening my mind a little bit, like almost a little shocked, because I haven't really looked into the Ravens yet. So this is the first time I'm doing a dive into the Ravens, and I'm listening to you guys, and what you're saying makes sense. So, I mean, I get it. Maybe there's a drop-off from the Ravens offense, and there's definitely room for a drop-off. This is one of the best offenses in football last year. They were first in rushing rank, third in passing rank, third in rushing EPA, sixth in passing EPA. This is a top 5 offense in basically every single metric. So there's definitely room for drop-off. Okay.
And real quick to go with that, Todd Monken, he's a great offensive coordinator. So like you said, he really helped Lamar, get better as a passer. There is some positives. I guess when I talk about them, I'm talking about them as everybody you listen to. They're like a Super Bowl contender. They're winning 12, 13 games. And they do have a good offensive coordinator. But yeah, I do think Lamar made strides, but I still don't. I don't see enough. He's not a guy with a bad O-line. We've seen it before. Like I said, after that first MVP season, he struggled the next year because he didn't have an O-line with Yonda retired and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, so I'm in agreement. Okay, I will concede that I expect the Ravens offense to drop off. Let's say instead of top 5, we're looking at maybe top 15, around in 13 to 17 range. Sounds like you guys could think it could even go lower. But let's say with the good OC, let's put them in 13 to 17. But then becomes the bigger question, and I'm going to mute my mic again and let these guys go at it here. It sounds like they might be in agreement, though, because they seem to be in lockstep with their thoughts on the offense. Defense loses Patrick Queen. Defense loses Mike Mack, who is Prop Beaver's favorite guy in the world. Prop Beaver loves Mike McDonald. Is the defense still elite without Patrick Queen and Mike McDonald at defensive coordinator? Go ahead, I'm muting my mic.
So I don't think it's elite, but I still think it's really good. Mike Mack, hopefully he turns my Seahawks around, by the way. Jesus, please. But their defensive coordinator's younger than me, so he can't do well, right? I mean, that's just, and seeing these coaches that are younger than me, it's making me really feel old. But listen, I mean, they lost Jadeveon Clowney too, 9.5 sacks last season. So their front seven's still good. You still got Kyle Van Noy, you got Roquan Smith up there, Matabuike, who just signed a huge deal. They still got guys, but I don't think they're elite, but I definitely think they're your, top 10 type of defense still. That's just my thought.
Yeah, so here's my thoughts on this defense. I am a big Mike McDonald guy. Kyle's absolutely right. When they hired him that first year out of Michigan, I'm going to be completely honest, I don't watch too much college football, so I didn't really know much about him heading in there, but he faced a lot of adversity that first season as a defensive coordinator with injuries, kind of like the same thing that Wink Martindale did. And you know what? Unlike Wink Martindale, he battled the storm and he did fantastic. And when they were able to acquire Roquan Smith, he made that defense what it is last season. He at least laid the foundation for what that defense was last season. And what was that defense last season? It was arguably one of the best defenses that we've seen in modern history. This was the first defense in the modern NFL to lead the league in scoring defense, sacks, and takeaways in the same season. On top of that, Justin Matabuike came out of nowhere. I mean, the guy had led the team in sacks. He had only combined for 8 sacks in his first 3 seasons in the league. Last year, he had 13 of those. Kyle Van Noy, I think, doubled his career sack total. He hit his career mark in sacks. Jadeveon Clown hit his career marks in sacks last year. About 3 of those guys hit their career marks in sacks, if not doubled it. I just think that there's a lot of regression coming for a lot of the edge rushers on this team. And then, as you mentioned, Jadeveon Clowney already left. You have Geno Stone, who left the team. As you mentioned, Patrick Queen left this team already. Mike McDonald, gone. I just feel like there's a lot of regression to be had for a team that was so dominant last year that it pains me to say, because, listen, I don't think there's nothing to not like about this Ravens team. Lamar Jackson, one of the most likable quarterbacks in the NFL. Harbaugh, what's not to like about that guy? Great guy. But listen, to be quite frank, I think there's value on this under at plus 100 in a tough division with a tough schedule. So
Yeah, no,
I'm going to be taking that under here.
I definitely agree with you. Curious to, and also I like Michael Pierce as kind of a run stuffer, but not only are they replacing Mike McDonald as a great coach, they're replacing him with a first-time coordinator. You know what I mean? Like this isn't just also a veteran guy coming in who knows how to handle the guys and everything. He's going to be as old as some of these players. It's not going to be easy. We've seen coordinators leave teams, and it makes a big difference. Ask the Eagles, after their Super Bowl run that they had. So it makes a big difference. But they still got the talent in there, and John Harbaugh's so good that he's he'll make sure everything's somewhat in order. But just curious your thoughts, Prop Beaver, on the secondary here with Marlon Humphrey and these boys. What do you think of them?
One thing I gotta say, and I was reading this in the FTN notes last year. I want to go ahead. Let me see if I had copy and pasted this real quick. I'm gonna be mad at myself if I didn't. Damn it, I didn't. Marlon Humphrey was fantastic last year when he was on the field. I forget something about his DVOA marks. I mean, he was one of the best corners of football last year when he was on the field. He took some really big steps, and that's impressive because the 2 previous years, his seasons had been marred with injuries. So for him to go out there, and when he was on the field, again, another season marred with injuries, for him to go out there and really take that step and prove himself as a number 1 corner, that was really good for me to see. Am I in love with the secondary besides Humphrey? No, not exactly. But I do like Marcus Williams. I do think he's quite a good safety when he's on the field. But again, health. I feel like every year the theme with this Ravens defense, especially the secondary, has been, is this secondary healthy? I feel like they have missing corners almost every season. And last year was the exception, kind of, besides Humphrey. We'll see if that secondary is healthy again this season.
Yeah, and it's hard to stay healthy 2 years in a row, obviously. And I like Kyle Hamilton, too. I mean, safety's not their weakness. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah, no, they're obviously great at safety. But, yeah, no, I think we're in lockstep on this team this year.
Yep, I will mute myself.
Okay, so while you guys were talking, I'm peeking at the schedule here because I don't know if I'm as quick on the trigger here to bet under 10.5 with this team that looked like they could have won 17 last year. That being said, look at the beginning of that road schedule. Probably bring their schedule up.
1-4, baby.
Dude, I mean, I don't know. I think they beat Buffalo.
Maybe not 1-4, but yeah.
You could make an argument that they could be 1-4 in their first 5 road games.
Yeah.
At Kansas City, at Dallas, at Cincinnati, at Tampa Bay, at Cleveland. What? That is crazy. That's a crazy start to the schedule. Now, it does ease up a bit. You get Denver in there. You Pittsburgh. You know what? Pittsburgh is a tough matchup from them now because if you remember, the weakness of this Ravens defense last year was stopping the run. Now with Patrick Queen gone, Mike McDonald gone, I can't imagine they're going to get better against the run. So this should still be a defense that's vulnerable against the run again, because even last year they were vulnerable against the run when they were elite.
And how about the Steelers pass rush on the Ravens now? With that weak O line. Yeah, it's a tough matchup.
Yeah, they could lose that game in Pittsburgh. They'll probably lose one of them against Pittsburgh. I mean, yeah, looking at the schedule, it's hard to find 11 wins to hang your hat on. Wow. I can't believe.
Oh, go ahead.
It looks like under 10.5 is the move.
Yeah, they are good at home. Under Harbaugh, by the way, 97-40 at home. It is tough to win in Baltimore. But in this division, I don't know what you guys think is going to happen in this division because I just kind of assume 3-3 for everybody because I don't know. Any of these teams could come out of the AFC North. Right now, the Ravens are such a huge favorite, or not a huge favorite. They're favorites with the Bengals to win the division. But, I mean, there's no value whatsoever in the Ravens, I think, to win this division because anybody can win it. So,
yeah. So we all are leaning towards Ravens under 10.5 wins. Probably we'll switch us over to Cincinnati. Bengals up next.
This is my boy.
This is your boy? Who's your boy?
Joe Cool, baby.
Joe Cool's your boy? You refer to him as your boy?
Yeah, no, we go way back. We have a connection.
All right, so Cincinnati's up next. They're sitting at 10.5 as well. Prop Beaver said that he likes Bengals in the Super Bowl, right? He was under the influence when he made that prediction. He said he was drinking and told his friends Bengals would be in the Super Bowl when he was drinking, and whatever. So we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. 10.5 wins, juiced pretty heavily to the over. Looks like -130 on DraftKings. All right, so I'm going to mute my mic again. Wait until Prop Beaver gets the poll up. So I'm going to mute my mic again and let these guys take it because I haven't looked at the Bengals yet. I'm all ears here. So I'm muting my mic now.
So,
All right. By the way, we have another coordinator who is, I believe, younger than me here too. Yes, first-year offensive coordinator, Dan Pitcher. He is 37 years old, also younger than me. So I don't know what's going on, but first-time coordinators, we'll see what happens. That's one of the bigger worries. But honestly, it's the quarterback coach. He knows Burrow. It's not some random guy. But
another thing though, real quick, Jabbo, he's not really gonna be the play caller though. So is it that big of a worry? Nah.
No, yeah. I agree.
I gotta say that the ranking the AFC North, I feel, I mean, I've been looking at a lot of teams thus far. I feel like this is the hardest division to do these win totals for. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is a tough one.
They all finished above 500 last year. I mean,
yeah.
and I could see it again. I could see any team finish first, second, third, or fourth and not really bat an eye.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
I mean, I guess kind of the odds for this one took me a bit back. I didn't expect this to be minus 140, minus 145 on some books. I was expecting more of the minus 115 near the Ravens. So I guess one thing immediately that stood out to me is the fact that the books are pricing the Bengals as the leader in this division. So that's immediately something that stood out to me. I mean, if you just want to look at this team in terms of additions and subtractions, we could do that to start off. Where is that real quick?
They did lose one of the most boring running backs in history.
They lost Joe Mixon, the inefficient king himself, a man who didn't fit the scheme of the offense, a man who does not like running out of the shotgun, a man who likes to run under center, but they ran out of the shotgun specifically, so it didn't make any sense. I actually like that they brought in Zach Moss. Zach Moss is excellent running out of the shotgun, and now they brought him in. I just got a report 2 hours ago that he is the starting running back, so for all my fantasy heads out there, for all my Chase Brown heads who are gobbling him up right now, just keep that in mind for your drafts. Zach Moss, apparently on the depth chart right now, is the starting running back. He's the guy that I've been targeting over Brown too. We're going to talk about him when we get to the underdog section of this. But, in terms of the additions, they did replace Zach Moss with Joe Mixon. I don't know about you, Jabbo. I know it's only a one-year sample size, but if we're just looking at last year alone, Zach Moss is a pretty sizable upgrade over Joe Mixon,
Much better. Yeah, no, absolutely much better. I mean, in his defense, the Colts had a better line.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's not even close. But, yes, no, he was explosive last year. Zach Moss had actually a few, disappointing years before that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we'll see what he does in this system. But yeah, losing Mixon is not a big deal to me. It's really losing Tyler Boyd. I think will hurt him a little bit. That was a good third receiver for them.
Absolutely.
You guys need to talk about Joe Burrow's numbers under pressure last year. You forgot how to handle pressure.
All right, we will talk about Joe Burrow's numbers under pressure. Thank you, Kyle.
Forgot how to handle pressure.
So we'll talk about Burrow's numbers under pressure. Continuing with the offensive additions, and let's talk about O-line. They continue to address this offensive line. They bring in Trent Brown. That is now their third offensive tackle that is 6'8" or higher. Yes, you've heard that. Because they also drafted the kid Mims, Amarius Mims, out of, I believe, Alabama. So they now have Amarius Mims, 6'8". Trent Brown,
Georgia,
6'8".
Georgia.
Oh, out of Georgia. My bad. SEC. I'm sorry. I mixed my SECs up. Yeah, so we got Mims, 6'8". Trent Brown, 6'8". And the other guy, Orlando Brown, 6'8". We got 3 6'8" guys. For the love of Christ, if this offensive line isn't working, I don't know what is. They also bring in Geno Stone. So in terms of the additions, wasn't the prettiest offseason for them. But, I mean, not really much in terms of that for them.
I think it's an average O-line. I mean, but it's going to come down to these young guys. Now, Amarius Mims out of Georgia, I see someone there in the background who's about to hop on that did not like it. You said he's from Alabama.
Oh, my God. Andy, keep fucking pipe down.
But if you don't know about Mims, he allowed one pressure on 168 pass blocking snaps in 2023 last year.
Damn.
Only 11 games, but he was pretty good. It doesn't mean it correlates right to the NFL. But hopefully Trent Brown can still play. Orlando Brown needs to not suck because he sucked last year. But they did have an interior offensive lineman come back. Alex Kappa is a good guard, obviously, and they got some good players on the O-line. I think it's going to be better than the Ravens, but I don't think this O-line is anything, top 5 or top 10 or anything. But I think they're kind of building to be an offensive line that can pass block, to be honest with you. So.
Okay, now Kyle wants to talk about the offensive line and obviously the pressure numbers here. Joe Burrow, horrendous last season. Wait, Kyle.
I mixed it up.
Okay, so my friend Kyle was telling me to bring up a point that is mute. He doesn't read well. It's hard for him.
One of the worst quarterbacks in the league when given a clean pocket.
So Burrow last year, one of the worst quarterbacks in the league when given a clean pocket. I don't know what. I guess the point he wants me to make is don't give him better O-line. I don't know what he wants me to say here.
Question.
Is Joe Burrow still an elite quarterback is what Kyle wants me to ask. And what I'm going to tell Kyle right now is to shut the fuck up. That is the silliest thing I've ever heard asked on camera. Let me go ahead and let's talk about Joe Burrow real quick, because let's look at the Joe Burrow from the first 4 weeks of last year. I mean, it was...
By the way, I think he can fix that. I think clean pockets a little easier to fix than if he got pressure in the face. But he's making fun of Burrow, so I'm not a fan right now.
Yeah.
He had terrible numbers when given a clean pocket, and he had terrible numbers against man coverage.
Okay, listen. Burrow was heinous the first 4 weeks of the season. The calf, it was bothering him. The man was cramping. The man was cramping.
He was a shell of himself for
yes.
the first few weeks.
33rd in completion percentage, 34th in passer rating. Obviously, the guy was booty stank OG. But if you look at weeks 5 through 8, first in completion percentage, first in passer rating. And it's not like he was facing schmucks either. I mean, he faced the 49ers during that span. He faced another good defense during that span. So let's relax a little bit. The first 4 weeks, he was awful. The next 4 weeks, he was fantastic. And then he got injured. So I feel like everybody's overreacting to the first 4 weeks saying, Burrow, he needs to prove it to me. He did prove it the next 4 weeks. Let's not overreact.
Two things real quick on that. I think they went 4-1 after that rough start.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jesus
and
Christ.
one of those wins, he went 28 for 32 and 3 TDs against the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, he lit him up. Were those numbers on Burrow? Was that just last year Kyle was talking about? You're talking about, or was this his career?
Okay. All right. I'm muting myself real quick. Captain wants to talk.
The numbers that concerned me for Joe Burrow last year was he couldn't beat man coverage from a clean pocket. And if you can't beat man coverage from a clean pocket with those receivers, that's a problem. I mean, you throw any quarterback in there and give them Jamar Chase and clean pocket and man coverage, you need to beat that. Any quarterback in the league. And it was a little concerning. Yeah, early on he was dealing with an injury for sure. But then they brought in the Washington kid who actually looked better than Joe Burrow. And I mean, numbers-wise, you can make an argument that he outperformed Joe Burrow in the latter part of the season. I won a few bets on him. So is Joe Burrow a system quarterback here?
Whoa.
I'm unsure about Joe Burrow. I'll say it.
I got you. Now, was that mostly last year, or are you looking career? Okay.
No, just last year. It was almost the opposite of what we've seen from him. That's why it was like, what's going on? I mean, this dude is getting clean pockets and man coverage and can't beat it with Jamar Chase.
Does anyone know, was he seeing a ton of man coverage at LSU when they're scoring 100 a week, or were they a ton of zone? I don't watch college enough. Probably
Andy would probably know that, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah. So you guys seem pretty pro Bengals. If you look at their schedule, you could definitely see why. Well, actually, you guys want to talk about the defense first before we look at the schedule? All right. So I'll mute my mic and let these guys talk about the defense. I'm not as big as Joe Burrow, I'll say that, but I'm muting my mic now. It's time for the Bengals defense.
Yeah, they gave up 22.6 points per game last year, 21st. They had some struggles. They were 31st in yards per game, but obviously better points. Pass defense struggled. Here's what I love about this Bengals team and why I think they can do something this year is I love their defensive line. I think it's deep, not necessarily just filled with 3 or 4 absolutely elite guys, but I think it's super deep. The one loss they had that I think is bigger than people think is losing DJ Reader. I don't know if you know, but numbers with and without DJ Reader on run defense is insane. Like, he is one hell of a run defender, run stuffer. He went to the Lions, I believe, right?
Yes,
is that right?
He's in Detroit.
And that's going to be huge for them. But I mean, you're talking about, Sam Hubbard, Hendrickson, my goodness, second most sacks in the NFL. Sheldon Rankins brought in, PJ Hill, Chris Jenkins now, run stuffer, McKinley Jackson. I mean, we're talking about a defense that I think can just load people in and is actually pretty good. I don't know what you think about this, but.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like the defensive line, as you said. The defensive line is good. It's the secondary where I do get a little bit weary. It's honestly the safeties were the main issue last year. They felt the effects of not having Jesse Bates and Von Bell. Holy Christ! I mean, I forget. I'm trying to pull up the stat real quick. I believe it was outside. So it wasn't the middle of field deep. It was deep and outside the numbers. They allowed the most yards in the league. They were just getting absolutely cooked deep and outside the numbers. But Lou Anarumo is a guy who I've learned to respect as a defensive coordinator, especially when it gets to those like important games, especially those playoff games. In the playoffs, this dude creates some absurd game plans.
You gotta mute that guy. You gotta mute that guy.
Which guy?
The guy who's spamming.
I can't see because I'm trying to talk.
I know, but he's spamming. You gotta mute him now.
Oh, I mean, King Gambit, get a fucking life, my man. Yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm sorry.
With you on that.
Yeah, go Jabba.
And even just to kind of go with you, so I think I just heard their safety Dax Hill is converting to a DB now. Is that right? Which, doesn't, now that they got Von Bell, Geno Stone, things like that. So I don't know if that's the case, but Cam Taylor-Britt, they're going to need to continue to, improve and step up. But I do think they are weak in the secondary for sure.
Did you talk about DJ Reader?
Yeah, it was the first thing you mentioned. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
that was a huge loss for them against the run. My goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, I feel like a lot of this comes to the secondary. If the secondary is playing cohesive like it didn't last season, but it did the year before, then I think that this is going to be a good defense, and I think overall is going to be a good team because I think the offense is going to be good. Sure, losing Tyler Boyd hurts, but Jermaine Burton, I really liked as a draft selection out of Alabama. I think Iosivas is underrated as a wide receiver. And then who was that? That other wide receiver they had, the white guy. He wasn't even bad in the limited action that he saw last season. So. Not River Craycraft, another guy, but
no, I know who you're talking
Trenton
about.
Irwin. So Trenton Irwin wasn't even bad when he got looks last season too. So
I think he had over 300 yards. I got a few starts. Yeah,
and they also added Mike Gesicki, who is not really even a true tight end. He could be even used as a smaller wide receiver too. Well, as a bigger wide receiver too. So I like the offense. The defense is hit or miss. The problem is this win total. The good news for the Bengals, though, is last season they saw one of the hardest schedules in recent history, according to FDN and their DVOA tracking. They have the 5th easiest schedule, according to their tracking this season. Let's go ahead and look at that schedule.
It helps when you finish last place because you get that last place schedule.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you, when I went through their schedule, it's kind of cut and dry. Like, there is 7 wins where you just lock them in. Like,
really?
They have, yeah. Oh, it's wild. There's just seven games where it's like, all right, now we just need to find 4 more. I mean, that's kind of where I went. So
okay, so let's take a look at that now.
Yeah, it's an easy schedule.
Easy. Okay. Well, Kyle's saying it's easy over there. So all right.
And I don't like Joe Burrow.
And this guy doesn't like Joe Burrow. All right. So
Okay.
where's the friggin' browser thing?
see, they start easy too, and the Bengals have been a team and Burrow that have kind of started out slow last few years. So I think it's going to be huge for them to start out with 3 absolute cupcakes out of the first 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think they can beat Kansas City too after the Chiefs beat the Ravens in Week 1.
Where's the window capture? Okay.
I don't disagree with them.
Come on, man. There we go. Whew. That was taking forever. All right.
Yep.
So, as you can see, they start off with New England. Yeah, you can take the mic, Kyle. Let me mute myself real quick.
Okay, so we got the Bengals schedule open, and no question these guys are spot on. This is a cupcake of a schedule here. I think the Chiefs are going to beat Baltimore in Week 1. So I'm actually considering because I'm actually considering laying the -2. Everything good? Your setup? So I'm actually considering laying the 2.5 on ESPN Bet right now, hoping, because I don't know if there's going to be 3. I'm going to be taking the Chiefs in that Week 1 game. I'm almost sure. No. I'm saying, yeah, obviously they beat New England week 1, but I'm talking about week 2. I think the Chiefs will beat Baltimore in week 1, and then we could catch them snapping and not napping. They're gonna be napping, but in week 2, this is like a rivalry game, the Cincinnati, Kansas City. I don't think it's crazy to think the Bengals could be sitting at 4-0 going into that Baltimore game in week 5.
No, and since he's shown they can beat KC, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like a rivalry there, and damn. And then after, let's say the Baltimore game's a loss. Let's say they'll win one of Baltimore and Kansas City. That's 4-1, 5-1 win at Cleveland, probably lost. Home against Philly. I mean,
that's one of those swing games, in my opinion.
They'll beat Las Vegas. They'll beat the Chargers at Baltimore. Let's say probably a loss. They'll probably beat the Steelers at home, at Dallas, maybe a loss. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that I don't even like this team, but I don't know how. Like, it seems like 11 is more likely than 9.
Yeah. After those 7 cupcakes, you just need to go 4-6 in the last. And we're talking they end with Tennessee and Denver as 2 of the last 4. Like, obviously, we don't know where the teams are going to be, but yeah, this isn't necessarily saying the Bengals are just 10 times better than the Ravens. It's just a schedule thing, really.
Because even if the Bengals don't even have the greatest season, if they're in playoff contention at the end of the year, you got week 17 and 18, like he just said, Denver, Pittsburgh, and if those are 2 must-win games, I mean, this team could be sitting at 9-6, like right in the mix, and still get over this number because they play 2 home cupcake games at the end. So I guess it would be. I'm not betting this, but I guess it has to be. No, I don't like this team, man. I'm not. No, take the over off me. I don't even want that up.
It is what, minus 140 though, over 10.5. Is that what we're getting
minus
right
130 on DraftKings? I saw this 130.
Yeah, well, that's okay, Kyle. You can just go plus 700 to win the AFC if you want.
No, I'm not. I don't even want that over underneath my face, man. All right, time to talk some college football. Real quick, Steve, want to tell the folks where they can find your channel?
Yeah, absolutely. Go check us out on YouTube, just a bet outside, and on Twitter as well. We do NFL, MLB, NBA, give out a ton of research help, as well as giving out best bets, and just have a lot of fun doing it. So, yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. It's always fun to talk some football.
For sure. And we'll see you on Wednesday, right?
Yep, you got it.
All right, cool.
All right, later.
All right, Andy, you ready to talk some real ball? Me and Andy, we're talking Troy football. Now we're going to be talking real ball. He come on Andy unmutes his mic, immediately takes a shot at Prop Beaver. Yeah, the crowd didn't hear it though. All right, so Troy, let's get it started. All right, Troy. Here we go. So obviously they lost their head coach. Summerall's moved on to Tulane. He took both coordinators with him too. So we got a full coaching overall here at Troy. The new head coach is Gerard Parker. He spent time with a number of different teams: Notre Dame, West Virginia, Penn State, Duke, Purdue, Marshall. I mean, this guy's been everywhere. They got Sean Reagan at OC. He was with Troy back in 2014 to 2018. He was with West Virginia last year. Dante Wright also takes over the DC. He was with West Virginia last year. And Gerard Parker, I believe, coached with these guys at West Virginia. Mm-hmm. I think they were all together at West Virginia a couple years back. So they kind of reunite here as the new coaching staff for Troy. 100 and see, this is where Andy is missing. 129th in returning production, just 4 starters, 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Quarterback Gunnar Watson is gone. The name of the starting quarterback is Goose Crowder.
Best name for a quarterback, man.
Goose Crowder?
Goose Crowder, yep.
Goose Crowder, who I believe has 0 career starts. I think
he only has, if I count it up in my head, 21 pass attempts.
Yeah.
But he's completed a lot of them, actually.
So the only time Goose Crowder has seen the field in his career, which is like a 3-year career, I think he's been there.
He was at West Virginia in 21 and 22. He was at Troy last year. So he actually was with. Yeah,
he was with these guys.
Parker. He was the back, or I guess the 3rd string if he wasn't playing at all. So yeah, he was with Parker.
0 career starts, 13 pass attempts last season in blowouts. They lose their star running back, 1,661 yards, 14 touchdowns, gone. Vidal, he's on the Chargers now, if you're wondering where he ended up. He was first team all conference, probably the most important piece of the offense last year. He's gone. They still have their RB2, but no question, huge hit with Vidal gone. Their wide receiver room got crushed. 4 of their top 6 wide receivers gone. Their leading receiver, Jabray Barber, he's on Texas A&M now. So they got cooked there. They only returned 2 starters on the offensive line. I mean, one of them, I think, is their best offensive lineman, though. The one kid was second team all conference. He's back, but still only 2 starters on the offensive line. Defensively, I mean, just 2 starters return on the defensive line. They got a kid in the portal. They lost their top 2 linebackers, the leading tackler, first team all conference. He's gone. 0 starters back in the secondary. So having said all that, how are you, quote unquote, big on this Troy team?
I didn't say the words big. I
big.
like the hire. I thought the hire was good. He's considered, I looked him up, he's considered, quote, rising star. You know, when I hear that, that's great. Offensive guru. He was at Notre Dame last year. Good hire, don't get me wrong. But offensively, this team's going to be rough. As good as he is and as good as play calling is his system, I definitely agree that the offense is not going to be very good. I mean, maybe this guy Crowder is a guy who hasn't played much. Maybe he was just hiding and he's a great quarterback. Maybe. I like the defense a little bit. I thought they brought in their top 5 additions were all on defense. So they needed that. I think it'll be the driving force. If they're going to keep it up, it solely needs to be on the defense here. I thought they made the additions on defense that helped them. Offensively, I'm with you. I think the offense is going to be rough. When you lose your top 3 wide receivers, your running back and your quarterback, you could be, I don't know, you could be anybody. You could be a genius. You're not coaching this team to even a solid offense. But I think the defense can drive them enough to where they can win some games. Now, I'm not saying I'm taking their over yet. We have to look at their schedule after. But I liked the hire. I think he's smart. Maybe they win a game or 2 because of him out-coaching. But, this offense is going to be very hard to watch.
Yeah, which is why, how do you not look at that under 6.5 wins?
We got to look at the schedule, definitely. But I think their defense will I mean, it'll obviously be the better unit on the team, but I think it'll drive them a little bit here.
I mean, they have a couple layups, but I think it's possible that this team wins as little as 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's under for me, but we can pull up the schedule so people can make their own decision. I mean, no question that some of these teams that Troy's the better program, and historically this is a winnable game. But man, at Arkansas State is probably a loss this year, right? I mean, this is not like last year. Arkansas State took a step forward, and Troy took a step backward. So I think at Arkansas State's a loss.
I think I thought their non-conference is not manageable at all. They're going to probably start 1-2. If you look at, I think they beat Nevada. Nevada's not a very good team at all. They'll beat Florida A&M. I think ULM could be a tough one. Could be a win. But then I think they go on a little bit of a losing skid. I have the under 2, but I want to say I think that this team, if they pull upsets late in the season, don't be as surprised as maybe you would be usually. I think this team will improve as the year goes on. Like those games against Louisiana, they're going to beat Gassa. But Southern Miss, those games late in the season, they're going to win those games because they're going to be ready. They're going to be a team. But I would say early in the season, it kills them. I mean, having to play Memphis and Iowa back-to-back on the road are brutal games that you can't. I mean, I doubt they would have scheduled. They were probably scheduled before this year anyway, but probably wouldn't have scheduled them if they knew they were going to lose everything.
Yeah, and then a couple of their home games, I don't even know, like obviously Texas State, they're going to be underdogs in that game. And then the final game of the season, Southern Miss. I kind of like Southern Miss. Like, I know that in that game, Troy is going to be favored, right? That's a game they should win, home against Southern Miss, but I don't know. I think Southern Miss defense might be pretty good, undervalued. So, all right, let's move on to the next one.
Speak of the devil.
Oh, is Southern Miss next? Okay,
Yep.
nice. I didn't even know that Southern Miss was next. All right, Southern Miss. Okay, here we go. All right, Southern Miss. Will Hall returns for his 4th year at head coach. Team took a step backwards yesterday. Mostly, I mean, I wouldn't say mostly, but injuries had a lot to do with that. This team really struggled with injuries last year. They did play in a bowl game in 2022, but they just only 3 wins last year. So, like I said, a step backwards. He does have the kiss of death, 2 new coordinators. But I think the DC left for a better opportunity at Boston College. He's the linebackers coach at Boston College now. They brought in Clay Bignell. He was the DC at Eastern Illinois last year, and apparently they had one of the better defenses in the FCS. I'm not going to pretend to know much about Eastern Illinois' defense, but they brought in the DC from Eastern Illinois. They're 119th in returning production, just 9 overall returning starters, 4 on offense, 5 on defense. But here's the thing. No question. Okay, so we're about to go through where they improved and where they didn't improve. I think they improved in the right places. And what I mean by that is they bring in Roadmaker at quarterback. No question that's an upgrade. I mean, Roadmaker looked pretty good. I mean, I know that he wasn't really asked to do much, but if you don't know who this is, he took over for Jordan Travis at Florida State when Jordan Travis got hurt. This kid went on the road in Florida and beat the Gators in Gainesville handedly. They won that game by 9 points. Now, again, it's not like he went crazy. It's like, but played a good game, an efficient game. So this is a Florida State kid. Got nice numbers when pressured here. A+ QB rating under pressure. You'll love to see it. But here's the thing. No question, we're about to talk about the running backs and receivers, and they got gutted. Frank Gore Jr. is gone. They also 5 of their top 7 wide receivers are gone. So their star running back and 5 of their top 7 receivers gone. So their skill players gutted, but they upgraded at quarterback, and I actually think the offensive line might slightly improve. They lost 3 starters, but they brought in a couple pieces through the portal. And their offensive line numbers wasn't as bad as their numbers indicate last year. Probably pull up like their blocking numbers. Like they look kind of bad, but keep in mind this team's schedule last year. Hold on. You could just scroll back and forth. I'm referring to both. So you look at their blocking numbers, like, okay, yeah, this wasn't a great offensive line. This team scheduled at Florida State, Tulane, at Mississippi State. So, I mean, their non-conference schedule is crazy. You throw those 3 blowout losses, and it's going to skew the numbers. If you take out those 3 games and take into consideration that some of their conference opponents were playing easier non-conference games than that, I think their offensive line wasn't that as bad as that. And I think the offensive line can be okay and give Roadmaker some time. So even though they lost all their their skill positions, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that bad. And on the defensive side of the ball, this is where the injuries were. So like everything's skewed when you're looking at the numbers. They had 3 defensive backs that suffered season-ending injuries last year. 3 defensive backs suffered 3. I keep tongue twisting on that one. 3 defensive backs suffered season-ending injuries last year for Southern Miss. So obviously their numbers from last year are going to look pretty bad. They did lose some people, but 4 of the 6 top defensive linemen are back. They lost a bunch of linebackers, but they did well in the portal, right? I mean, they brought in some guys in the portal. I think Southern. I'm really considering that over 4.5. Obviously, the most likely outcome is 4 wins, but I think 5 wins is super realistic.
Yeah, I agree with you on the defense. I thought their portal haul was very good, and that was something that they definitely needed. I don't like the offense at all. I think you need skill position players badly, and they don't have them at all. They all left. And I thought Rodemaker was all right. He was solid. That game against Florida, if you watched it, it was one of the worst football games last season. They couldn't do anything. Nobody was getting past the 50-yard line in that game. He didn't look great at quarterback, but I understand he was playing good teams. He wound up, I think he played in the ACC championship game or got hurt in that game or something. And AJ Duffy had to play the Orange Bowl, which was a mess. But yeah, that was he wasn't great. I'm not overly excited for the offense, but I do think the defense will keep them in some games. It comes down to their portal haul. You said the injuries. That I had to make sure when I saw the numbers, I looked at it and I was like, I knew they were bad last year. I knew the defense was bad, but there had to be an explanation, and it was injuries last year. So if you want to give them a little bit slight uptick in what they actually produced on defense, then I would understand the injuries not happening. But I'm a lot like the team prior. I'm way more excited about the defense for this team than the offense. I don't see this offense really moving the ball much at all.
Yeah. So as far as the schedule, do you see 5 wins?
No. Oh, no. Lord, no. They're first. I mean, you and I have a similar thought process on Jacksonville State, but I think Jacksonville State gets them though.
If they beat Jacksonville State, they go over 4.5.
Yeah, that's the big swing game because they're not. I mean, they're going to start 1 and 2.
I might bet this. So if they lose that Jacksonville State game, that's 2-2, right? You agree they'll beat South Florida?
No, whoa, no.
You like South Florida?
South Florida is a sleeper to go to the playoff this year, dude.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
South. Do this then.
Yeah, they're not beating.
We didn't do South Florida yet.
Yeah, I did them. Yeah, I did a preview on them yesterday to get ready. They are. I mean, I felt that way about them already, but boy, they are going to be really good.
What?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's why I was saying I can't find 5 wins on this. I don't know if I find 4. So, I mean, they'd have to really overperform.
Wait, you don't think they could beat Marshall?
I said 4 wins. 3 or 4 wins would probably be my
Marshall,
play.
South Alabama.
Marshall, South Alabama's.
Louisiana Monroe.
I'll give you those 3, but I can't find another one after that.
Southeast Louisiana isn't a win.
Well, okay, so 4.
I don't know. I think they can.
Where's your 5th win? I mean,
I think they.
You're saying USF, but USF is not happening.
The 5th win, USF, Louisiana at home, Troy. I think one of those 3 could be winnable. I would lean over for me.
All right,
but I mean,
I would go heavy under for this team.
But like I said, Andy said what he said about South Florida. I haven't looked at South Florida yet, so maybe they're going to be a lot better than I anticipated. Andy wouldn't say that unless he has done his homework. I have not on South Florida, so I would say over. That's the hardest part about doing the win totals is obviously you can't do all the you should do all 134 teams and
definitely.
then go back and do it. But that's just not.
I believe we're doing them. We're doing them Wednesday, and when you look at them, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it. They're going to be very good.
Next game, please. Oh, I see it on my screen. Okay. So James Madison. This is an interesting one. We got. So the coach is gone. He's at Indiana. He took both coordinators with him. He also took some players with him.
Yeah, a lot of players.
The new head coach is Chesney. He comes in from Holy Cross. He was there for 6 years. Holy Cross, a very good FCS program. He brought his OC from Holy Cross with him. The DC was the safeties coach at Duke. Before that, he was the safeties coach at Wake Forest. So that's the new coaching staff here at James Madison. 123rd in returning production. Just 7 returning starters. But here's the thing. It's kind of weird because they also brought in a lot. So, yeah, they're as far as their team from last year, a lot of it's gone. But they also brought in their quarterback, Jordan McLeod, obviously gone. He transferred to Texas State. Kind of a lateral move. You don't see that.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one.
Well, he left because his coach left.
Yeah.
So he's with Texas State now. But they brought in Dylan Morris, who, look, I think maybe as right now when we're looking at it, you have to say that's probably a downgrade. But I don't think it's crazy to say Dylan Morris ends up having a better season than McLeod. I don't think that's a crazy take. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's plausible. I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, they got a huge downgrade at quarterback. How about that? That's probably most accurately phrased is what I'm trying to say. They lose their top 3 running backs, top 4 rushers if you include McLeod, but they brought in that kid from North Texas, Adai. How do I say his name?
I think you said it right. Adai. It's either Adai or Adai. I would say Adai.
Adai. 1,000-yard rusher last year. They also brought in 2 other backs from the portal. So they lost their top 3 rushers from last year, but should be fine. I mean, they got 3 formidable backs in. Their receiving weapons took a hit. They had 2 1,000-yard receivers last year. Both are gone. They did bring in a couple through the portal, though. I don't think anyone's significant. I think that is one position group where you could say they're weaker is wide receiver. On defense, the best defensive player, or maybe the best player in the Sun Belt Conference is gone. Jalen Green, 15.5 sacks in just 9 games before he got hurt. He was the Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He's gone. I don't even know what I would imagine he's still dealing with that injury.
Yeah, it's the injury because he declared for the draft and he was in it.
Yeah,
didn't get drafted.
He was 15 and a half sacks in 9 games. That's crazy. I would imagine he'll pop up on an NFL camp maybe next year, but he's gone. All 4 defensive linemen are gone, and that's the huge factor here. That's because the reason that's such a huge factor is the strength of this James Madison team was stopping the run last year. No one could run on this team. In fact, I believe they were second in the country in yards per carry allowed, second in rushing success rate defensively or something like that. So this James Madison team last year, elite against the run, and that was part of the reason they had such a successful season was no one could run the ball on them. I don't know if that's the case this year, and I think if you take away that run defense, that things look a lot different. An elite run defense like that can make that helps everywhere. That can make the entire team look better. So if you take away that elite run defense, I think the rest of James Madison looks a bit worse. So I don't like that all 4 defensive linemen are gone. They mostly lost all their linebackers too. But they did bring in that kid from Holy Cross. Apparently he's the man. The coach brought him with him. 2-time Patriot League Defensive Player of the Year. He's got like 130 career tackles. So like I'm sure he's nice, but still lost all the linebackers. Secondary should be okay. They lost a couple starters, but they brought in another kid from Holy Cross and a kid from UConn. So it's really the defensive line that got gutted. I don't know. It's definitely a step backwards from last year, but they did bring in a lot of talent. So the question is there an adjustment period with the new coach and new faces? And you would have to say probably, right?
Yeah, I like you said about the coach, he did turn Holy Cross into a really, really good FCS program. They were 44-21 in his time there. They also almost beat Army last year, which is a game that's a rivalry game they never win. So they nearly won that one. But I think it's a lot like how in a few weeks we're going to talk about Sig at Indiana, Coach Sig. I kind of feel the exact same way about the place he left. I think you took a coach from Holy Cross and he's now trying it with his guys, just like Coach Sig's doing out there. He took a lot of guys from JMU's defense, and he took a lot of guys, period, from him. I think it's some alignment too. It's the adjustment that you can't really predict. Like these guys from Holy Cross, great. You were playing in the Patriot League, so like you don't know how those stats are actually going to translate, and that's why this team was so hard for me. I needed to look deep at the schedule for it because I thought losing McLeod is brutal. And I do think Morris was good in his 1 year of heavy playing time. He threw for 2,400 yards at Washington a few years ago, but he hasn't played much since. He's been a backup since. He's got 30 pass attempts in the past 2 seasons. So you don't really know what you're getting from him. I think it'll be fine. Not great. This team was just so perfect last year that I don't think they'll replicate any of it with nobody back. So I really don't like the roster at all.
Yeah, but here's the thing with James Madison is they have such an easy schedule this year. They do. There's no Texas State, there's no Arkansas State, there's no Louisiana. They do have at Appalachian State on the 23rd towards the end of the season, which is a definite loss. They also go at North Carolina, which is a definite loss. But other than that, I mean, I think every single game on the schedule is winnable for James Madison. So I guess you would have to say over 8, but I'm not betting over 8 at -125 for a team that I don't even think is necessarily that good. I think they're actually worse than they were last year. So it would be over a pass at this number, but just because of the easy schedule.
I would say the same. I would say over a pass, but I will say this. I would not be surprised if you're looking at a lot of these games. You're saying like Georgia State or Georgia Southern, ULM, Old Dominion, like in face value, James Madison is better than them by name. But who's to say by week 3 we're looking at James Madison as a team that just nobody's translating and nothing's happening for this team? Like in a few weeks into the season, we could be looking at this team like, oh, they're going to be one of the bottom dwellers of this conference because of how bad. I mean, the roster is not good, so we'll see what happens with them.
All right, next team, which is
ULL,
the Cajuns, and all right, so Louisiana. Go ahead, Andy. You take Louisiana because I didn't even really look.
Yeah, a lot returning here for Louisiana. Let me pull up my first preview.
15th in returning production, 7 starters on offense, 8 on defense. Head coach is back for his 3rd season. Both coordinators back, so they return the coaching staff and they return a lot of faces on the field.
Yeah, they were 6-7 last year. They lost their bowl game. That was one of the craziest bowl games against Jacksonville State. I mean, what can you say? They're bringing everything back. They have Chandler Fields now at quarterback, which you said didn't really know him that well. I didn't notice his stats last year. He had 3 games in November in which he threw for both 200 yards and 2+ touchdowns. That's a great job. In this conference, obviously, he was on this team. So he had a really hot start to the end of the year. That's why he's starting a quarterback for them. We've seen guys in the past have hot late in the season, get the starting job, and then get benched. I don't expect that to be the situation here. I think he's going to be very good. They had a top 40 rushing attack last year. That's back. I mean, a lot of the offense is coming back. That's really all you need to know. So they're the same team, but a year older on offense with a new quarterback that really, I mean, is he even really that new? Because he played at the end of last year. So, yeah, I like the offense a lot. Defensively, a couple of solid adds. They should be an improved team. They were not very good defensively last year. Their success rates were not good in either side. Either unit of the ball, pass or run, were not particularly good. But the improvements and the adds, I think, will help. Everybody's a year older there, too, when they stay and they return. So, I like it. I told you before, I like this team a little bit. I wouldn't go crazy and say they're going to be toward the top of the conference, but I think this is a team that's going to win it. Plus, and we could pull up their schedule is a joke. They're non-conference. Their non-conference schedule. The first 2 games of the season, they may actually average winning by 50 points a game.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Grambling and Kennesaw State.
Yeah.
So you're starting out 2-0. That being said, there are some tough ones in here. Obviously at Wake Forest, but at Southern Miss is sneaky tough. Right before the App State game too. The placement of that in between Wake Forest and App State. At Coastal Carolina is sketchy, even though they probably should win that game. At Texas State, tough game. Home against Arkansas State, they're probably going to be favored in that game, but that's tough. The kid Rayner. Home against South Alabama. So look, it's like you could chalk up. They end the season with 3 wins, and they start the season with 2 wins.
I will say that Tulane game, I think they have that one won. I don't like Tulane at all this year. So
if they're going to beat Tulane, then you have to go over 7.5.
Yeah, I have the over as well. I have the over because I think I will say that they did kind of get screwed with Coastal on the road, Texas State on the road, Southern Miss on the road. That does suck. Those places are tough to play, and those teams are going to be somewhat decent. Although Southern Miss is more of a defensive team. I trust the offense enough that they're going to win. They're going to score a lot of points and win a lot of games in those. So yeah, I like this team.
Let's see. Let's see 5. And then so out of these games, I need them to win 3. Can they go 3-3 in these? And they go 3-4 in these 7 games. I mean, they probably do. I guess over. Nah, I'm not betting this, but it would only be over. It's minus 140, and I don't know. I think there's some sketchy games in there. Like at Coastal, at Southern Miss, I could see them losing those games. So yeah, no, it'd be over a pass. Next up, here we go. Texas State. The question with Texas State is the hype. Has the hype gone too far? Obviously, head coach is back for the 2nd season. His first year with the team last year, turned a 4-win team into an 8-win team. Then went on to beat the hell out of Rice in the First Responders Bowl. They did lose their DC. The Packies over at Duke now. Dexter McCoy is going to be the new defensive coordinator, but he was there last year. He was the safeties coach. 18 returning starters, 9 on offense, 9 on defense. 18 returning starters, and the positions that they lost, you can even make an argument that they upgraded there. Mm-hmm. They lost quarterback TJ Finley, but I mean, would you say McLeod is an upgrade from TJ Finley?
Yes, I think significant
probably,
upgrade,
but,
yeah.
But I mean, no, I mean, Finley was good there last year. Let's not act like, I mean, we're going to say TJ Finley sucked because he struggled in the SEC. Like, come on. McLeod would probably struggle on that Auburn offense also. So, but I still, like, that might be an upgrade with McLeod in there instead of Finley at quarterback. They did lose their RB2, but their main running back is still there. Rushed for over 1,300 yards last year. Brought back 2 of their top 3 wide receivers, and they added 2 more wide receivers. One of the kid had over 700 receiving yards last year in the FCS. They lost 2 pieces on the offensive line, but they added pieces in the portal, and that's kind of the story across the board here with Texas State. They bring back a ton of production, bring in a new quarterback, coming off a great year. The vibes are high in Texas State. There's some high expectations, and every position where they did lose somebody, they seemingly brought in a piece in the transfer portal where they may have even improved. So everything is positive across the board with Texas State entering this season. And I think they're going to be one of the more popular bets is Texas State over 8.5, Texas State to win the Sun Belt Conference. And I can't say I disagree. I will say it's probably going to be one of the more publicly bet overs because we're talking about the Sun Belt Conference here. If we're talking about the SEC, yeah, you'll get a lot of casual bettors placing bets, right? But the people that are betting the Sun Belt Conference more so are people that pay attention a little bit more. And I don't think Texas State is going to be good. That's not a sneaky take. I mean, pretty sure most people that follow the Sun Belt Conference are well aware that Texas State may be the favorite to win. Actually, I mean, App State's the favorite to win it, but you know what I mean? Maybe one of the favorites to win the conference. So the question is, has the hype gone too far with the Texas State team?
I don't think the hype's gone too far. I think, first of all, good for them because they used to be one of the worst programs in college football. And they have one of the best young coaches. He'll probably be getting a better job at the end of the season. But, I mean, it goes from top to bottom. This is just a better program. I mean, the recruiting has boosted up significantly in the past 2 seasons. They're returning a decent amount enough. Like a lot. McLeod coming in, like you said, lateral move or whatever. I can't believe they were able to get him to come here. I thought he could have found one of the lower level Power 4 jobs, but instead he's here, and good for them. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Their offense is probably going to put up a lot of numbers this year. I think the team overall is going to put up a lot of numbers. They run a very fast pace. That's going to mean the defense is going to have to work a little bit harder, which is exactly how GJ, Jesus, I couldn't say it. He could play. They upgraded their secondary. That was solid because they needed to do that. And they're going to be facing a lot of good passing attacks in this conference. I think it sets up perfectly. I know winning the conference will be interesting because they're going to be up against Appalachian State, who's got guys who have been there before. But I do think that that's something we'll be talking about later into November. Like this team, I think 8.5 is a good number. I think they'll go over that. I really like this team.
I don't really understand the number at 8.5 because if you look at their schedule, they lucked out. You get the Arkansas State games at home, the Louisiana games at home. I mean, if you're going to give me over 8.5 at plus money, where are the 4 losses? I mean, Arizona State probably beats them, right? I mean, I guess
that's a game that we're probably going to have
probably going to be like a pick 'em.
We're probably all going to take the spread. We're probably all going to take Texas State spread. I mean,
what do you mean spread? I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a pick 'em in Texas State.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona State's going to be pretty bad. So we'll see on that. But yeah, I don't see 4 losses. I mean, do they have maybe Louisiana as a loss? I would think they could put that there, but they're the home team there. So
no, they're home.
Yeah, I don't see that.
And they're home with 10 days rest, although Louisiana's going to have rest that same time. Yeah, they're home there. I don't see it. Where is?
Well, they're banking on them losing a conference game and losing both of those UTSA Arizona State games and then tripping up on them. And I don't think it's gonna. I think this team, young coaching does scare some people, but I'm on the over as well because I think they may be young coaches and maybe they'll make some mistakes this time. But I mean, he's one of the best coaches in this conference, if not the best. So I think he's gonna outcoach people too. I think this team's gonna be really good. That Arizona State game's gonna be fun.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Be back tomorrow, same time. Do some more football teams. Well, who's tomorrow? Steelers, Browns, Ravens. Oh, we finished this conference division. So we're on the Houston Texans tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, me and Andy will be back. What college teams are we doing tomorrow, Andy?
Ooh, let's see. I have them written down. Tuesday.
We finished the conference, right?
Yeah, we are on to Army, Charlotte, ECU, Navy, and UAB. So the American Conference.
We're on to the American Conference. All right, everyone have a good day. Thanks for watching.